This is a risk in our own backyards.
The fireworks ban is announced that will impact tens of thousands of people. We'll show you who's affected.
The drought has brought a huge rate hike for one water district. I'll tell you who.
Will it impair their train of thought or use of force or anything like that?
Should cops be allowed to use medical cannabis?
We just don't have a chance. I don't know where we're going to go.
One couple is learning firsthand how Utah's housing market can be a nightmare.
We are trying to find a place, and it's not there.
Why they're having to leave their home of more than 2 decades.
There's a worm invasion in Tooele, but they look like this. We'll show you how these little guys are spreading kindness.
So this has been on the table as something we didn't want to have happen, but obviously we're going to evaluate every single day what we need to do to keep our city safe.
As drought conditions persist and worsen, there is a major announcement from Salt Lake City leaders.
Brian Schnee joins us live with a look at those new restrictions on fireworks as well as open burning. Brian.
Amid the hot temperatures and exceptional drought, leaders here in Salt Lake City have officially taken a stand on fireworks and burning. They announced today a citywide ban on both of those until further notice. Under the ban are Class C fireworks or personal fireworks, also known as common fireworks. The ban doesn't impact any of the local fireworks shows that will take place on the 4th of July and July 24th weekend. Now, these fireworks are the ones that are sold at neighborhood fireworks stands, and they include smoke bombs and sparklers. The second part of the ban is open burning and recreational fires. Those are also prohibited within boundaries of the city.
Our fire marshal and our fire department, who are really the best and most capable experts in the city to evaluate the fire conditions, have determined that essentially the city is combustible.
Ignition is not limited to urban interface, sagebrush, or cheatgrass. This is a risk in our own backyards. The dry brush that we have on our own properties is probably adjacent to a wooden shed, which is probably adjacent to a wooden fence, which often directs right back to the house.
Mayor Mendenhall emphasized that other cities have done this here in the state as well. She specifically mentioned Park City. Now others are going to be discussing it tonight, such as Midvale. Both Mayor Mendenhall and Chief Lieb suggested that the ban will last through July 4th and also through July 24th holidays here in the state. City leaders have been discussing this for quite some time. They did say they came to their decision over the last couple of days. One thing to note out of this, the ban has no effect on fireworks sales here in the city. We're live in Salt Lake City. Brian Schnee, Fox 13 News, Utah.
And just into the Fox 13 newsroom, Governor Cox responding to Mayor Mendenhall's fireworks ban, saying, quote, "We support the decisions of local governments to protect their communities during times of high fire danger."
As Brian mentioned, tonight the Midvale City Council will take up potential fireworks restrictions in a special meeting starting at 7 p.m.
Now, that meeting will also be broadcast on the city's YouTube page. Meantime, the cities of Mighton and Fillmore are 2 more areas now imposing new fireworks restrictions in Utah. In Mighton, no fireworks will be allowed within city limits until further notice. The city cites the drought as well as dry conditions contributing to a high fire risk. And in Fillmore, the mayor and the fire chief are prohibiting all aerial fireworks this year. All other fireworks are only allowed on the 4th of July, but notably not on Pioneer Day.
In Provo, someone lit fireworks last night and started a brush fire. It happened in the 4400 block of Mile High Drive. The fire was only half an acre, but it could have been much worse. Investigators say a minor may be charged with lighting fireworks in a restricted area and not on the dates allowed. Fines could be as much as $4,500 for both charges and the cost to put out the fire.
You know, we've been talking about this for quite some time now. The drought, of course, the extreme heat conditions, and things aren't improving. They're not getting better, Allison.
No, we have very hot temperatures today here across the state, along with some gusty wind right now from Evanston down through Salt Lake and Tooele. And in southwestern Utah, we've been seeing our strongest wind gusts close to 30 to 40 miles per hour right now for the Milford area. That's what we've been seeing this afternoon. So extremely breezy. We have red flag warnings, fire weather warnings for almost all of Utah for today and tomorrow. But I have a little bit of good news. A cool down will be arriving for the end of the week, along with an increased chance for some showers and some thunderstorms. So I have a little bit of bad news there because the lightning and the wind could cause a few more problems. But talking about our current temperatures, it's about 90 to 100 for most of the state currently here right now for Salt Lake City. The rest of the evening we'll keep it in the upper 90s through about 8 o'clock tonight, and then low 90s once that sun goes down during the 9 o'clock hour. Your top weather headlines: fire weather warnings here across the state, cooler temperatures later this week, and then we'll start seeing those increasing showers and thunderstorms, potentially some dry thunderstorms moving from south to north, and then another heat wave. So coming up this hour, let's talk about our air quality here across the region, how much those temperatures will be dropping and then how much they'll heat back up, and then also how much rain could we see. I'll be answering all those questions this hour.
We'll see you then, Allison. But now to the wildfires burning in Utah. The Morgan County fire in Tooele County saw little growth since yesterday. That's thanks to favorable weather conditions. The blaze now sits at 167 acres. It is 0% contained.
The Flat Fire in Washington County is still 50% contained. It has burned more than 14,000 acres. Lightning caused this fire.
And the Bear Fire, this one in Carbon County, is now 93% contained this evening after burning more than 12,000 acres. The nearby Benyon Creek Fire is now 80% contained after burning 8,300 acres. And the Pack Creek Fire is 62% contained. It burned nearly 9,000 acres. Utah's fire season is barely underway, unfortunately, and we're talking about multiple wildfires burning thousands of acres already.
We knew it was coming because the scientists who study fire saw all of the worst trends for a fire season coming together in Utah. Fox 13's Max Roth joins us now with an in-depth look. Max.
Yeah, it's startling to see their assessments of Utah right now, Bob and Kelly. The federal government works with regional and local experts on a pretty amazing system. It's called the WFAS, or Wildfire Assessment System. It takes some of the simple things that most of us know from our fireplaces or our campfires and turns that into a comprehensive way to know where the danger is. Grasses and twigs burn right away, and then they burn away. Small sticks or narrow split logs will burn long enough to get a big log up to 8 inches wide on fire. And one of those you'll have to pour water on before bedtime or it will smolder through the night. Now, speaking of water, if your firewood is wet, you're in trouble. Predicting wildfire danger first looks at water, or lack of it. They call it fuel moisture. Anything under 30% is considered dead fuel. Those grasses and twigs up to ½ an inch in length are 10-hour fuel. After 10 hours of wet weather, it's soaked. It won't burn. The Wildfire Assessment System says Utah's 10-hour fuel has between 1 and 4% moisture. Perfect kindling. Sticks and smaller branches up to 3 inches in diameter are 100-hour fuel. 4 days of wet weather make it tough to burn. Again, the map shows Utah's fire fuel entirely under 5% moisture. And the big branches up to 8 inches in diameter, 1,000-hour fuel, considered dry through about a month and 10 humid days. Now, more than half of Utah is under 5% moisture here. The rest, with 6 to 10% moisture, would still be prime firewood. The experts combine those ratings with weather to predict where they'll need resources, and Utah is the bullseye on that map. It's called Energy Release Component, or ERC. Dry fuel lets a fire march fast and wild. All of its energy goes to burning rather than drying the wet stuff. Again, red is bad, and Utah is red. So to some extent, these predictions do change every day because of weather, and Allison keeps us up on that. Utah's heat and winds made today particularly dangerous. But the long-term trends mean Utah will see a lot of red in the coming months. Live in studio, Max Roth, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Concerning, Max, thanks. Still to come, caught on camera. A driver hits a school bus and then takes off. We'll show you what police know about the person they're now looking for.
Go together. A simple message with a big goal. How a new campaign involving this mural and tandem bike is hoping to change lives.
Welcome back, everyone. Right now, police in Woods Cross are looking for this driver who crashed into a school bus and then took off. It happened last Friday morning on 26th South near Wildcat Way. The suspect's vehicle is this multicolored Chevrolet or GMC vehicle you see in these pictures. The school bus driver had already dropped off her students, so luckily no one was hurt. Investigators believe the driver is a man between 40 and 50 years old. If you have any information that can help, call Woods Cross Police.
Utah County has a new mural encouraging parents to build relationships with their LGBTQ teens to help them choose not to drink underage. The mural and tandem bike at Provo Town Center were installed to bring awareness to the powerful influence parents have in their children's lives. Parents Empowered, along with Encircle and the Utah Valley Drug Prevention Coalition, say alcohol use rates among LGBTQ youth are double those of their straight peers. The group say children are less likely to drink when they feel close to their parents.
We also know that when parents jump on the journey with the kids and are there for them, they are less likely to turn to drugs and alcohol and other self-harming behaviors.
Experts say underage drinking changes how young brains develop. They hope the interactive mural and tandem bike will help reduce elevated alcohol use numbers among LGBTQ youth.
Still ahead, senators now weighing in on whether or not to overhaul the nation's election system. Still to come, where the bill stands in Washington.
When you can't watch Fox 13 News live, watch us streaming online for free on Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV. Just search Fox 13 on your device.
In national news, the Democrats' sweeping attempt to rewrite U.S. election and voting laws stalled in the Senate late today.
It failed on a procedural vote. The bill known as the For the People Act would strike down hurdles to voting that advocates view as the civil rights fight of this era. It would also curb the influence of money in politics and limit partisan influence over the drawing of congressional districts.
Democratic voters, people of color, young people, poorer people, have a harder time finding the time, place, and manner to vote.
But many in the GOP say the measure represents a breathtaking federal power grab, limiting states' authority to conduct their own elections that would ultimately benefit Democrats. It failed on a 50-50 vote, short of the 60 votes needed to begin debate.
In testimony today on Capitol Hill, Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell said the U.S. economy is recovering, but he does warn the coronavirus pandemic remains a threat. Lawmakers are debating whether more help is needed for Americans and how large to make the American Jobs Plan. President Biden has proposed a $4 trillion economic agenda. A bipartisan group of 21 lawmakers remain in talks over an infrastructure plan that calls for just $579 billion in new spending.
Every single employer I talk to tells me they can't find people to work. What do you think about all these policy ideas from the Democrats?
Again, it's not my job.
No, but your job is stable employment and low inflation. Right now we have 9 million job openings and inflation that's went up 5 months in a row. So something has to give.
Since March 2020, the Department of Education has been giving federal student loan borrowers the option of pausing their bills without interest accruing. Come October, payments will resume unless an extension is granted.
In the South, Tropical Storm Claudette caused widespread devastation. The storm is blamed for 14 deaths in Alabama. So today, President Biden met with the heads of FEMA and Homeland Security to discuss hurricane preparedness. The president also addressed the federal response to western wildfires. He plans to meet with western governors next week to discuss those dangerous conditions.
The drought in the west is just astounding. You take a look at it. Fires have already started, flooding, so we're in for a tough season.
Last month, the president announced he's doubling emergency funding to help communities prepare for extreme weather events, adding up to $1 billion. For perspective, there were 22 natural disasters last year that cost more than $1 billion each, with a cumulative price tag of nearly $100 billion.
All right, now Utah's exceptional drought is forcing a lot of cities to cut back on water use.
That's right. In Eden, they've dramatically raised the water rates. The Eden Water Works Board tells Fox 13's Haley Higgins they had to do it to remind users to conserve. It's a story you'll only see right here.
Eden sits above Pineview Reservoir here in Weber County, but that is not the source of water for this community. It's groundwater and snow melt, and it's drying up.
This is the pump house. This is the well. We had to turn these on in May, 2 months early.
Rod Lackey heads Eden Water Works.
I had never heard of that happening.
Since 1861, water for shareholders comes from Burnett Springs. And during this exceptional drought, its output is just half for this time of year.
Even if the river's not running, you'd have, pools.
Near the well, the North Fork of the Ogden River is dry too.
If we have another bad winter, it's pretty scary. So we're just being careful.
Careful by implementing a 400% rate hike for shareholders who use more than 20,000 gallons of culinary water.
We just increased the price to a point where we're hoping people think that maybe I don't need to water that acre of grass.
As a nonprofit water company owned by shareholders, users pay some of the lowest prices in the state.
It's time for Utahns to start thinking about water really being valuable and being charged as if water matters, which is what our future holds.
Utah Rivers Council promotes water sustainability. Executive Director Zach Frankel says the drought is forcing other water managers to consider charging more.
There's a lot of need to raise water rates in Utah because we have some of the least expensive water rates in the entire U.S. And that explains why we have America's #1 highest municipal water use in the entire nation.
Lackey says 75% of shareholders won't be paying more in Eden. Rates stay in place until the drought improves.
Hopefully this is getting everybody at least in the thought process of conserving water.
Now, water managers are urging most people in Utah to only water their lawn twice a week, meaning if it's not brown by now, you're watering too much. Reporting in Eden, Haley Higgins, Fox 13 News, Utah.
And what's the saying in the West? Water is liquid gold. We need to treat it like that.
Yeah.
Little tiny bit of liquid gold in the forecast, but we need a lot of it here across the region. I am, though, tracking some cooler temperatures and a chance for some showers. However, those showers are also going to bring a few concerns. But let's go ahead and start with today's temperatures. It is our 7th day this year in the triple digits. On average, we have 4 days a year exceeding 100 degrees. And so far, we've already hit 7. Our June record is 8 days, and we will probably tie or beat that next week. Now, temperatures currently 99 here in Salt Lake City, 94 for Provo, 91 even up in Heber. Wendover still at that century mark, 102 currently for St. George. And as we look at the fire outlook for tomorrow, check this out. The areas of red that you're seeing, that is critical fire weather across most of Utah. The areas of tan, that is elevated fire outlook for tomorrow. And so we're going to have these fire weather warnings. The fire outlook was current. This is for tomorrow. So we will have the fire outlook very difficult here across the region for any fires that start, for firefighters to put those out because it is hot, it is breezy, and it is dry here across the state. So we do have quite a bit of wind across southern Utah mostly right now. And our wind is gusting around 20 to 30 miles per hour. So it is breezy out there. The relative humidity, single digits for Moab, 4%, 7% for Price. Just painting a pretty dire picture here across the region. And our temperatures here across northern Utah, A little bit hotter than this time 24 hours ago. Southern Utah a little bit cooler, but for tonight here in Salt Lake City, 71 will be your overnight low with partly cloudy sky. And then by tomorrow afternoon, take a look at that 93 degrees, mostly cloudy here in Salt Lake City. So when you wake up tomorrow morning, most of you 60s and 70s. We'll have 50s for Park City, Evanston, Logan 60 for an overnight low, and then for St. George 81. And by tomorrow, we're seeing increased moisture here across the region. So I'll get to that later in the hour with how much rain we could expect over the next couple of days. But just know your temperatures tomorrow will be in the 80s and 90s for most of the state. St. George around 90, 93 for Thursday, Friday 96, and then about 100 to 105 from Saturday through the middle of next week. So another heat wave starts. For the Wasatch Front, we have 90s for Wednesday, scattered thunderstorms possible Thursday into early Friday with cooler temperatures. Enjoy that, and then we heat back up this upcoming weekend and triple digits again next week. Coming up later in the hour, how much rain we can expect here across the state.
I have this cell phone glued to me trying to call people and text people and email people, and I'm just getting nowhere.
After 2 decades, a Kearns couple is being kicked out of the place they call home. What's next for them as options for renters across the valley continue to disappear?
Most of the cases are thought to be linked to this variant.
Plus, what health officials are saying about the increase of the Delta variant of COVID-19 and whether you should be concerned even after being vaccinated.
And normally worms are pretty disgusting to think about, but don't worry about these ones. We'll explain what one mother and daughter in Tooele have come up with that's positively Utah.
McDonald's is jumping onto the customer loyalty bandwagon.
The fast food giant will introduce their new program nationwide on July 8th after testing it in some U.S. markets. It's coming up. Now, customers who participate will receive points on qualifying purchases that can then be traded in for hash browns, McNuggets, a large frappe, or a McChicken sandwich. Users will automatically get 1,500 points with their very first order using the new rewards program. 6,000 points translates to a Big Mac, a quarter pounder with cheese, a Happy Meal, or a bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit. You've got some choices there. Other fast food chains are also pursuing similar programs.
Making me hungry here. Peloton just launched a corporate wellness program as it aims to reach new users and grow its membership base. Businesses that sign up will be able to offer employees subsidized access to Peloton's digital fitness membership and its high-end cycles and treadmills. Wayfair, Samsung, SAP, and Sky are among the first businesses to join the program.
Dating app Tinder thinks online dating is primed for change. So starting today, you will be able to show people your moves on Tinder or whatever else. The dating app announced several new features, including the option to add videos to your profile. Currently, Tinder users can only add still pictures to their profile. This new move allows other dating apps like Bumble and Hinge, which turned to video during the pandemic, leading to the digital dates as opposed to in-person dates. So Tinder users can now load up to 9 videos onto their Tinder profile.
U.S. stocks rallied again today as most major stock sectors rose, extending the sharp gains from yesterday. The Dow added 69 points to close at 33,946. The Nasdaq climbed to an all-time high, adding another 112 points, and the S&P gained 22.
Coming up in our next half hour, Juneteenth has come and gone, but what's being done to help Black-owned businesses thrive in the future? We'll show you.
The agency that certifies and disciplines all police officers is trying to decide if they should be allowed to use cannabis.
Breaking news into the Fox 13 newsroom at this half hour. The Utah Highway Patrol has shut down the southbound Lunt Park rest area north of Parowan in Iron County. They say they are investigating a possible bomb threat in an abandoned vehicle there. Troopers say there is no threat to I-15 at this point. Bomb personnel are on their way. We, of course, will continue to monitor this situation and bring you the latest as it becomes available.
Medical cannabis is legal in Utah, but not for everyone.
State officials are looking at whether sworn law enforcement officers should be allowed to be cannabis card holders. Fox 13's Ben Winslow has the story from Sandy.
It was a healthy debate for Utah's Peace Officer Standards and Training Council as they discussed whether cops should be able to use medical cannabis.
This is a kind of a difficult topic to navigate.
Utah's Peace Officer Standards and Training Council is deliberating whether officers should be allowed to use medical cannabis.
We are getting increased inquiries about it.
It's been legal in Utah since voters approved it in 2018, but law enforcement agencies have not been allowing any cannabis use. The closest an officer can get is not using for at least a year before they apply for a job. And it's still forbidden on the federal level for any officer with a gun to use cannabis. Post says it's impacting officer recruitment. People want jobs in law enforcement.
However, I'm taking medical marijuana, or I have used in another jurisdiction where it's legal, like Colorado or Nevada.
Can't believe I'm stepping up and saying this about this, because I totally supported not having medical marijuana in the state of Utah years ago.
The council deliberated whether they should change their policies in light of what voters approved.
It was put out pretty loud and clear. And so I think we need to consider that, and we need to maybe change that.
But there's a lot to consider here.
We have to look at what's going to be the best for the citizens. You know, do we want a police officer out there using marijuana? You know, although it's medical, you know, will it impair their train of thought or use of force or anything like that?
Post is also looking at whether certain officers can use while others can't.
Who's using medical marijuana and who's carrying a weapon? Are they working desk duty? So it poses a challenge.
Now, the Post Council came to no decision, so it's entirely possible the legislature may have to get involved. In Sandy, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Utah's Peace Officer Standards and Training is the agency that certifies and disciplines police officers. The council has expanded now to include a civil rights group. It was last year former Utah Governor Gary Herbert appointed Janetta Williams. She's the president of the Salt Lake branch of the NAACP to serve on the council. There she is. Williams is a voting member who weighs in on policing policy and votes on officer discipline.
For me to serve on the council, it's a time that I can look and reflect on, you know, what are the things that we should be doing, or what are the things maybe that they're doing that could be made better.
The change in the Post Council is due in part to last year's Black Lives Matter protests. The legislature also passed a sweeping series of policing reforms.
Experts say a low rental vacancy rate is leading to many rental properties being snatched up fast.
As Fox 13's Lauren Steinbrecher shows us, no one knows that better than a Kearns couple who found themselves having to move for the very first time in 2 decades.
22 years in one home can look like this.
They're beautiful.
A well-loved garden.
Those are Mother's Day presents from my daughter.
Memories with children that turn into memories.
They come and go freely at Grandma's.
With grandchildren.
And gives them Otter Pops. Yes, gives them Otter Pops.
But 22 years in a home can also look like this, if you don't own it.
We started packing a couple days after we found out.
Lynn King's longtime landlord decided to sell their Kearns home, King says, giving Lynn and her husband just over 45 days to get a new place. But finding a new home...
I've looked at trailers, I've looked at duplexes, I've looked at mobile homes, I've looked at houses, I've looked at apartments.
Frustrating, as places either deny the Kings for one reason or another, or the price is just too steep.
I'm just getting thrown into this with no, sink or swim kind of thing, and we're sinking, and we just need some help. We got 8 days. And I have nothing, no hope on the horizon. We've tried and we've tried and we've tried. I got a denial this morning. I don't have any other recourse.
If I can find
some options here.
The Utah Apartment Association says it's a tight market with only a 4% vacancy rate, prices increasing, and rentals moving fast.
It has to be very stressful to enter today's housing market. It's so different than it has been in the past.
That said, Executive Director Paul Smith says there are thousands of rentals out there and there are options through organizations and state programs. His best advice:
one of the things I tell people is just keep looking, don't give up, don't get discouraged.
As the deadline closes in on Lynn,
The desk is empty, the cupboards are all empty.
she's hoping something works out soon.
I want to be able to go to bed at night and know I have a place to sleep. I want to be able to wake up and know that I'm not going to be homeless.
In Kearns, Lauren Steinbrecher, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Well, and we wish her well. Rental assistance is available to Utahns who qualify if you are struggling. Your local housing authority can help you find low-income housing. We have a link to a list of housing authorities and other resources as part of Lauren's story at fox13now.com.
They say that they always expected there to be some breakthrough cases.
Some vaccinated Utahns are still contracting COVID-19. We'll look at these so-called breakthrough cases and why it shows the vaccines are actually working.
And critical fire weather across the state right now. More fire warnings for tomorrow, all ahead of a cool down and a chance for some rain. I'll let you know how much rain we could see and why. I have a few concerns with those storms coming up. We're back in 60 seconds.
Juneteenth often provides a one-day boost to Black-owned businesses.
But they need more than that to keep thriving, especially as the pandemic ends. Alexa Liaco shows us how one restaurant hopes to make a long-lasting impact.
Welton Street Cafe is the Black experience.
Fatima Dickerson spends more time here than in her own home.
Welton Street Cafe, can you please hold? We sacrifice friendships, relationships. We sacrifice our bodies with the labor.
Still, there's nowhere she'd rather be than inside her family's restaurant, Welton Street Cafe.
It is the family reunion. It is where we gather, and food is why we gather.
But this place of love and soul is struggling to stay open.
Surviving COVID as Welton Street Cafe has been a quite storm.
Her loyal customers are keeping this decades-old spot alive.
Welton Street Cafe.
But her family doesn't own this building, and rent plus maintenance is tough to afford.
We always see a lot of pretty stories about being in business, and nobody likes to talk about the shortcomings or the downfalls.
Fatima's watched many Black-owned businesses struggle around her, even in Denver's historic Black neighborhood.
This needs to continue to be the hub for us to call home.
But she has hope for change. And this year, the Juneteenth celebration may just start that change to rebuild Denver's Black community.
When you think about it being larger than a weekend, it is. I'm Black every day. Every single day. And when you're a Black business owner, you need support for your business every single day.
We look at it as a launch pad.
Norman Harris organized Denver's Juneteenth Festival. He had web developers help Black-owned businesses build websites for free and donated proceeds of the event to businesses like Welton Street Cafe.
When you get that type of synergy that happens within our community spaces, it's priceless.
This movement to invest in Black-owned businesses long past the Juneteenth Festival is happening across the country. It's a movement Fatima wants to last.
Juneteenth is a lifestyle. It is what I breathe, how I move. Juneteenth is representing and supporting the culture of Black people.
The Little Rock Nine, for example. Historian Dr. Vernell Howard says it's these moments of collaboration that can build Black wealth for generations to come.
That is what the Emancipation Proclamation was about, and that is what Black businesses are about, is to leave a legacy and an inheritance to your offspring.
And the chance to pass this business down is a dream Fatima isn't willing to let go of.
This is giving me chills because this is purpose. You say Welton Street Cafe, you save 5 points. You save 5 points, you save Juneteenth. You save Juneteenth, you save the Black community. We are trying to save a life.
I'm Alexa Liaco reporting.
There's some
thing in this tree here. We'll show you how a mother-daughter duo is spreading kindness through worms.
Coming up in sports, RSL head coach Freddie Juarez will tell us why he's so excited to play the top team in Major League Soccer tomorrow. And I'll tell you about the big decision the Jazz and Mike Conley have to make this offseason as he becomes a free agent for the first time in his career.
The University of Utah Health now answering questions about the COVID-19 Delta variant.
The Delta variant was first identified in India and was recently detected here in Utah. Doctors say there is cause for concern because it may be responsible for nearly 10% of new infections in the U.S. Doctors with U of U Health say the Delta variant is about 50% more transmissible than other strains.
In the UK, it has now become the dominant strain. In other words, most of the cases are thought to be linked to this variant. And it may also be, even though we don't, I think, have hard proof of this, more virulent. That is to say that it can cause more serious disease, hospitalizations, and death.
Doctors also say the easiest way to protect yourself against the variant is to get vaccinated. If you're not getting the vaccine, they recommend continuing to wear masks and practicing social distancing.
Right now, more than 1,348,000 Utahns are vaccinated fully for COVID-19. More than 52% of eligible Utahns have received at least one shot.
One of the country's largest drugstore chains is doing a giveaway to promote COVID-19 vaccinations. Walgreens says it'll give $25 in-store credit to anyone who gets a vaccine there over the next several days. Customers will get the credit through a gift card or loaded onto a My Walgreens account. For children between the ages of 12 and 15 who get vaccinated, their parents will get the in-store credit. The offer runs through Saturday.
Today, Utah saw an increase of 249 new cases of the virus. The deaths of 3 more Utahns have been attributed to COVID-19, 2 women and 1 man. 159 people are currently hospitalized with the virus, 70 of them in intensive care.
It is not common, but some vaccinated Utahns are still contracting COVID-19.
A Salt Lake Tribune report found 993 documented cases in Utah. These are called breakthrough cases. The health department tells the Tribune the breakthrough cases are a tiny fraction of the overall number of people who have been vaccinated at 1.3 million Utahns.
They say that they always expected there to be some breakthrough cases. No vaccine is 100% effective. So this is not out of line with what was expected and actually shows that the vaccine is highly effective at what we've been promised it would do, which is prevent severe illness and death in most cases.
3 of those breakthrough cases ended with deaths. The health department says people who have been vaccinated for COVID-19 should still get tested if they experience symptoms. They say this will help prevent the spread of the virus, especially because their symptoms tend to be more mild.
A mother and daughter in Tooele are spreading kindness with the help of crocheted worms.
Well, this is certainly a good thing to do. Fox 13's Sydney Glenn shows us the project that is positively Utah.
If you're feeling stressed, just walk around Tooele County. You might find one of these guys to help you out.
I love to crochet, so it's something I love to do.
On a grassy hill.
Mostly watch my mom crochet.
In Tooele.
Yeah, I could probably do it in my sleep watching TV.
Heather Harris.
I have blue, I have tan, I have a green.
And her daughter Dixie are
making worms.
Crocheting worry worms.
And that's what it looks like.
Each worm,
it's my stress reliever,
has a job.
When your worries become severe, pull me out, draw me near. I will be there, have no fear. Your worry worm will bring you cheer.
To spread a little kindness.
To make people happy.
After the worms,
it's my favorite color.
become worms.
They come in like different colors.
Dixie goes and hides them.
We kind of made it easy for people to kind of see them.
A few steps.
Probably like hide it right here. I picked the spot because it will match with the green.
And into the tree it goes.
They could drive past and see.
Waiting to be found, sitting on grassy hills or in fences or trees.
I hide them for people to bring here.
Once found, the worms are there to lend an ear.
They worry they can tell their little worm.
The more Harris makes, the more she hides. If you're in Tooele, check the tree, check the ground. You just don't know. You may be able to find your very own worry worm. In Tooele, Sydney Glenn, Fox 13 News, Utah.
We are so programmed not to take things that don't belong to us, you know. You
But when you
it
find
out
that-
there. Yeah, but if you find a worry worm,
Take
feel
it
free to take
and
it.
use it. Put
There
it
you
to
go.
good use there.
Good to know. I'm a little bit worried about our drought here across the state. We have a little bit of rain in the forecast, but some of these storms could potentially create more hazardous fire conditions for us. But right now, it is 99 here in Salt Lake City, Ogden 98, Provo 94. We ended up reaching 100 degrees today, and love this picture from Representative Tim Hawks. This is a drought-proud lawn, hashtag drought-proud, and he was asking people to join in and throw one of those signs up, let your neighbors know that you're not just being lazy, you're doing it for a good reason as you're letting those lawns go brown or yellow. But temperatures are so hot today. It's still around 100 degrees here for the Wasatch Front. St. George currently 102, and for your commute tonight, upper 90s for Salt Lake, and tomorrow morning in the 70s. So tomorrow afternoon a little bit cooler than today, and we're also going to see increasing moisture from the south. So for today, the main thing I'm watching for you is a few clouds that have drifted into southern Utah, along with some very gusty winds. Overnight temperatures will be about 65 to 75 degrees tomorrow morning for the Wasatch Front, 50s for Park City. St. George around 80 tomorrow morning. Then we'll start seeing some increased chances for mostly high base showers. However, heading into Thursday and early Friday, we'll start seeing some better chances for some of that rain to make it to the ground. So let's go ahead and look at this futurecast for you. By tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., we're going to start seeing a few of those showers drifting in from the southwest, mostly into Nevada. And then by later tomorrow night, especially southeastern Utah and Nevada, and then along the Wasatch Front, we'll start seeing a few sprinkles possible. And then we're going to see that turning over to a better chance for that rain to actually make it to the ground early Thursday morning. So tracking quite a bit of activity here across the region. Some of these will be high base showers, and the main threats will be dry lightning and some gusty outflow winds. And of course, the concern there is some wildfires could be started by some of that lightning. So we're going to look at this rain projection for the next week, and the majority of this will be falling in the next 48 hours. This will mostly be, I'm happy to see at least some sort of color on the map here, but just light amount of rain. The darker greens that you're seeing and the blues, that gets you up closer to about half of an inch of rain. So up in the Uintas, that's where we're going to see the most precipitation over the next few days. St. George around 90 tomorrow, so enjoy the cool down. 93 for Thursday, then about 100 degrees Saturday. So we start another heat wave close to 105 early next week. And for the Wasatch Front, we have low 90s tomorrow, mid 80s for Thursday. Scattered thunderstorms possible, and then into Friday morning, same thing, 87 degrees on Friday, and then 90s and triple digits next week.
Well, for all their struggles at the end, I think this season we got to see the value of so many of the different players on the Utah Jazz.
Yeah, they had a lot of good players. They brought in Mike Conley, but he may not be here for long.
Oh, no.
And if he does, he's going to cost the Jazz a lot of money. Conley will become an unrestricted free agent this summer for the first time in his career. Conley played great last season. He was an NBA All-Star for the first time in his career, but he made $34 million last season. The Jazz won't offer the 33-year-old that much to return, but teams can go over the salary cap to re-sign their own free agents. The Jazz would go well over the luxury tax if they bring Conley back, costing team owner Ryan Smith about $40 million extra next season. Question is, do the Jazz want to re-sign Conley, and for how much? Or will he choose to play somewhere else?
It's something that, I have to sit back and consider with my family, and when that time comes, make the decision that's best for us and myself. And, I've had a great time here and great experiences, coaches and Coach Flynn and the players and Don and Rudy and everybody. So it's actually like my first time being a real free agent. So it'll be interesting, but I did love it here, and we'll see what happens.
Real Salt Lake picked up a good win on Saturday, beating Vancouver 3-1 to move to the 6th spot of the Western Conference standings. But they face a big challenge tomorrow when they play at Seattle. The Sounders are the top team in Major League Soccer with 9 wins, 6 ties, and 0 losses so far this season. Seattle has won the MLS Cup 2 of the last 5 years. And they've been in the finals 4 of the last 5 seasons, so they've been the team to beat in the league for the past half-decade. RSL is a young team on the rise, ready to see where they stack up against the best.
We want to go over there and look to have the ball and, you know, play with courage. We understand it's a very good team, undefeated team, but what better chance and rival to play against than Seattle? It's a team that we want to challenge ourselves against and see where we are. It'll show where we're at, where we're developing and continuing to grow. And it's a challenge that our players want, to be quite honest. This is the standard of MLS, and we accept the challenge.
Bees wrapped up their series in Sacramento this afternoon, and they did it in style. 6th inning, Matt Dice lifts it the other way, out for a 2-run home run. His 11th of the year, 2-run shot. Bees up 6-1. Jake Gatewood, huge day at the plate. Ripped a 3-run home run in the 7th inning, bombed to left field, put the Bees up 9-1. Oh. Gatewood went yard one more time, this time in the 7th inning. 2-run home run. He had 3 hits, 7 RBIs, leading the Bees to a 12-5 win. Bees back home on Thursday. They start a 6-game series against Las Vegas.
And Thursday will be the night to go out to the ballpark because we're getting that little cool down.
Yes.
It's the 80s, so after the sun goes down.
It's also Thirsty Thursday, so that
Thirsty
might have something to do with it.
It's another good reason. Add it to the list. Thanks, Jeff.
We'll be right back.
Well, a little bit cooler to end the week. 90 tomorrow in St. George, but then the heat returns this upcoming weekend. We also see a chance for some scattered showers and thunderstorms Thursday into Friday, but enjoy that cool down because we are back close to 100 later this weekend and into next week.
Here comes more summer.
It's not letting up.
Nope.
Thanks, everyone, for being with us this evening.
We'll see you back. Yeah, we'll see you back here at 9 o'clock.